All right, we're live. Man, we've spent 6 years building something special. Today's different. And this is really about not just our survival, but the future of our mission. And so I just wanted to come on live, really thank the people that so far have jumped in and really made this a grassroots effort of helping us get by this hurdle, which has just been one of many over the last 6 years. And it really is going to help transform so many lives if we can just continue to stay like focused on our core mission. And thank you so much for those of you that have already kind of jumped in, joining early. You know, drop a hand wave in the chat. Let me know that you're here. In addition, go ahead and put in the chat like where you're watching from. You know, whether it's what state, city. Also, we just want to know, how far this message has been spreading. Like, have you already jumped onto our donation campaign? Have you been following sort of this like week-long journey? Because again, I just want to get the word out, help as many people understand the current landscape, what we've been able to accomplish so far, how many lives that we've impacted and changed. And, we've done so well over the last 6 years. I just want to be able to like get 6 more. Right. And I think the community can help us get there. So, yeah, drop some comments. I'm going to check and see if you leave a message in the comments. I already see a few that have come through. Ramon, again, appreciate you. One of our SkillBridge participants. Alex is there. Alex, one of our instructors, been with us from almost the very beginning. Appreciate you again, all the dedication that you put to supporting students, helping people transition, helping them land that first job. I mean, it's just like super valuable for us to have a team of people that are just so passionate about helping people make this transition. Hannah, great to have you on board again. Another shining example of like, maybe we'll see if we can get Hannah to join us and just tell us a little bit about her journey and like just again, appreciate your support, appreciate everything that you do. Hannah's the one that's responsible for tuning up our LinkedIn and our socials and making sure that like we are demonstrating that we are a premium brand and really showcasing like the work, the mission, the things that we're doing. Oh man, there's so many people coming through here. I want to give shout outs to everybody. Thank you so much, Randy from San Diego. Eduardo, it's great to see you on the call. Man, thank you. We got Peter joining from Georgia. All right, GA. All right. Is that close to Atlanta? Drop a comment in there. I've been to Atlanta, but I don't know where Warner Roberts is, but you are welcome, Hyatt. Thank you for joining. We got folks in here from Fallbrook. Okay, so they're next door neighbors. We got Ramon watching from San Diego, of course. George, great to have you. Tampa in the house. Amazing. SkillBridge participant, Louisiana. That's right. They're all over. So we got SkillBridge participants that are far flung from San Diego. In fact, if you're a SkillBridge participant in our program and you're calling in from like overseas, make sure you drop a comment. I want to shout out some of the people that are like still stationed elsewhere and looking to hopefully make their transition back. Hopefully they come back here and they visit San Diego and set some roots here. We got Memo again, another great instructor dedicated to just helping people learn everything they need, get ready, and make that transition into a job. Philip, great to have you here. All right, shoot your shot. Anybody looking for someone that enterprise systems, solutions, software, hit him up. He's on LinkedIn. We got 6 awesome years. I agree. It's been amazing. Again, I want to have a little fun with this. Like we're in a crunch time, but I want to take some time to acknowledge and appreciate that like 6 years is a long time to be doing this mission. Kevin, newest instructor, calling from San Diego. Appreciate you. It is an amazing program. I would agree. Sharon, great to see you. A board member, CCC, calling from Virginia. Bernie, oh my God, Bernie, we got Yashmai. Send her to the link. We got if Bernie can get. If she can go, I don't know, she can go into the break room or something, and she's probably at work today. But although she might have, ServiceNow is known to have a lot of wellness days and whatnot, so maybe she might have like a little 4-day banger happening. So thank you so much, Bernie, for joining in from LA. Hopefully, if you can jump on, I'd love to have you talk a little bit about your journey and your story in your own words. Neil, always appreciate you. Oh man, there's just so many people. So we got a couple more that have. Peter, thank you so much. 2 hours. All right. So that's close enough. Next time I'm in Atlanta, maybe we can connect. Alex, appreciate it. And Jalen, again, appreciate you. Thank you so much for letting us know where you're dialing in from. So rather than me start with a story, what I want to do is bring up Yashimai in just a sec and have him maybe tell us in his own words what the journey was like for him, and really kind of like kick this off by really helping people understand like the impact that this organization is making in like so many people's lives. So let me bring up Yashima. So again, Yashima, if you could kind of introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your journey and maybe the impact that creating coding careers has had on your life.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike. Thank you, everybody, for joining. It's so many people. Mike told me that we're gonna do this, and I'm like, dang, I didn't even get to line the beard up. Like I'm looking crazy, but nah, it's great because 6 years is a long time, and we've been putting in the work. And I've seen the amazing stories, people coming in and their lives being changed by this program. Um, and I'm testament of that too, right? So I'll jump in and share a little bit about how I got started. A lot of people know, but some people don't. But I joined the Navy back in 2012. Did 4 years in the Navy. I was a quartermaster. Um, Huya. I actually just met one of our SkillBridge participants, Randy, who's also a former quartermaster. I feel like we don't meet. There's not a lot of us, right? It's not a lot of quartermasters out there. In my department, we had 7 people. it's not a lot of us. So it's cool meeting another quartermaster. I was on designated when I first joined too, so it's cool meeting bosun mates as well. So we got a couple bosun mates. We got Rahman. But yeah, it's cool.
Okay, hang on a second. You're dropping a lot of military jargon. We got some people that aren't in the military. So, first off, tell them what it is that you did because he drove some interesting vehicles in the Navy, and then,
Yeah,
and then yeah, like share with them what that is because a lot of the folks just like they're not connecting those military acronyms.
got you. So as a quartermaster, our primary responsibility is navigation. Um, and one of my collateral duties was or one of my qualifications was master helmsman. So this is something I'm super proud of. Not a lot of people get to do it. So I drove the ship. So I drove 3 aircraft carriers. My first ship was the USS Ronald Reagan. Was quartermaster on that ship. Then the ship went to Japan, and I did the 3 carrier hull swap, where I got to drive the Theodore Roosevelt and the George Washington. So, as Master helmsman, we drove the ship during dangerous evolution. So, pulling in and out of port. We did vert rep, on rep, which is just like you know, uh, vertical replenishment when you're, um, you know, you have aircraft carriers or helicopters dropping goods onto the ship. So you got to keep the ship steady. Um, on underway replenishments when we would pull along beside another ship and we would, exchange goods. We drop the anchor. So dangerous evolutions is when they would put me in. And it was great. I love I love what I did. I know not everyone in the military can say that, but I had a amazing experience. I got to go to Hawaii, Brazil, Peru. Got to hit some really great ports. So it was great experience. And I was stationed in Coronado. So like, come on, like you can't, you can't beat that. Oh, Mike, you're on mute. You're on mute.
My bad. So tell them a little bit about what it was like when you transitioned out of the service. So now we have an idea of like, okay, this dude was like driving aircraft carriers. And then
Yeah.
tell them a little bit about that journey. And then if you could share like how we met and like the from there.
Mhm. Yeah. So this is where things get interesting. So got out the Navy. I'm originally from East Coast, from upstate New York, Rochester, New York. Shout out Rochester, New York. It's not a lot of us either, because you know what I mean. But decided to stay in San Diego. It's so beautiful out here. Couldn't picture myself living anywhere else. So I was like, this is it for me. I'm gonna settle in, figure things out. Other people did, so I'm gonna do it too. Um, and got out the Navy, kind of, fumbled around a little bit trying to find work, as we all do, right? It's rough. It's rough out here, especially when you don't have, the support. Didn't have any family out here. Didn't really have too many friends living out here either. So didn't really have, much of a support system to lean on. So yeah, just worked a bunch of like odd jobs. But in the back of my mind, I knew that I got to figure it out. I got to figure something out. You can't, you can't keep doing the same old, same old. So I found this coding boot camp, um, Origin Code Academy. Um, and I went in and they gave me the spiel, and I'm like, yep, this is it for me. Um, so for our SkillBridge participants, Mike created um, the curriculum, the program for the coding boot camp, which is it's very similar to the stuff that y'all going through now. So y'all are blessed to get access to this program, because I went through something similar, but it was you had to pay for so I was working. I was going to this coding boot camp. I met Mike. I met Alex. Met all the folks. Evo. Trying to think who else was in that coding boot camp. It was a ton of people that I met through that program. Um, but yeah, that's where I got my start. Just like some of our folks that are going through the curriculum, feeling like it hits you like a ton of bricks. You're like, yo, what's going on? Like, because you're learning the language, you're learning JavaScript, you're writing functions, you're building out these projects, and it's all hitting you like a ton of bricks. That hit me too, right? It happened to all of us. I was working part-time at a moving company, and going to school. So yeah, it was a lot. Um, but eventually, long story short, that program closed down. Mike will talk about that another time. And then Mike started his own program, which is San Diego Code School. So we did that for about a year. He allowed me to come in and finish up the curriculum. And then he started, like a year or two after that, he started creating coding careers. And that's where I got my start as an apprentice. So I came in, and to say that the program changed my life is an understatement. I have a family now, um, and I think about like all the things that you know just possible in my life. It wouldn't be, it wouldn't be possible. So yeah, no, it's a life-changing experience. It's been an incredible ride helping to build this thing out. A few years ago we started our SkillBridge program, which for me was truly, truly like a full circle, because I remember getting out and I know what that feels like. I know the stress, um, especially if you're moving to a new location, right? You're not going back home. I joined right after, not right after high school. I did like a year of community college and realized like, this ain't for me. And then I joined the military, and then didn't go back home. So I know what that can feel like for folks when you're just like, navigating this new landscape. So yeah, it was truly a full circle moment, building out our SkillBridge program and providing this opportunity. And for folks that aren't aware of what SkillBridge, isn't aware of what SkillBridge is. So within, for active duty participant within their last up to 180 days in the military, instead of reporting to, active duty, reporting to their command, they can come and do basically an externship with a program like ours, right? So they get to come in, go through the apprenticeship, and really get these hands-on experience with any one of our pathways. Um, Mike, I'll pass it over to you.
Man, again, I just remember um, the energy that you had when you first came in, and then I remember, everything kind of closed down, and I saw you on the street one day. I was like downtown, not like homeless on the street, but like I was downtown. You were coming out
I
of
was
an
leaving
event.
church.
Yeah, you were coming out of an event, and I was like, "Hey, what's going on? What are you doing?" And when you told me like you weren't like really coding, you were like doing it on the side, but then you were like still hustling, like moving company,
Yeah,
selling
yeah,
insurance. I was like, I have
yeah,
got to pull. Like, this is a waste of talent. Like,
yeah.
I got to make sure that like for people like Yashima, like this is why it's so important for those just joining the room. Like, we're celebrating 6 years, and we're closing out our most ambitious campaign to support people just like Yashmai. The mission is clear. We need to keep our lights on, but we also need to be changing lives. And like, in order for us to keep changing lives, we need like the community. We need to do like that grassroots effort of like, everybody's got to pitch in and it'll get us over this little hump. And then, it's just SkillBridge to me, like when we got that, it was a huge moment. Like a couple of years back when we initially got it, we didn't even really know what to do with it, right? Because we're just like, okay, how does this work? It doesn't come with an instruction manual. It's just like,
Right.
hey, you guys can start bringing people in. I'm like, okay. So we've had to figure out like, how do we use it to help both companies and individuals that are transitioning? It's been a learning experience. It's a big change last year, and now we have like 2 more years, right? They gave us an extension on our MOU, and the runway with um, this allows us to also layer on apprenticeship. So to go beyond that 180 days, the apprenticeship piece is like once they get out of the service, they don't have jobs anymore. Now it's like, okay, SkillBridge is over. So we've created this pathway to allow them to start in SkillBridge, begin their apprenticeship program, connect them with the company, and have the company experience that apprenticeship pathway, and then convert the person, bring them on as a full-time employee. We can give a company up to 3 or 4 months of like time to really bring this candidate in, get them up to speed before they have any costs. And so it's just like, okay, we need more of this, right? We need
Right.
more SkillBridge to apprenticeship. And then again, we kind of haven't really announced it too much, but like we signed an MOU this week with like a national organization, national yeah, I'm gonna keep it. We're gonna do another announcement later this week with that, or next
Okay.
week, but where participants are going to be able to get college credit while they're going through this apprenticeship program. So we truly are now going to be pioneering apprenticeship degrees here on the West Coast. And so it just feels like I got a lot of anxiety when I'm just like, okay, we've come this far. We've like done all of this work. We've set everything up. And then it's like, but I'm not wealthy. Like, I'm a software engineer that figured out like, okay, this is what I need to do in order to be able to give back. And we really need the community to be able to just back our play and give us that little push to like, okay, you guys can keep going. We got all these, big dreams of getting more grants, of getting more support from the federal government. And it's like all of those will continue to have the same struggle we have right now, which is like, all that's great. Like a promise of hundreds of $1,000s is amazing, but we need to have the working capital to actually like cover payroll and make sure people are getting taken care of. Because every time we bring someone in, it's a full-time job. We don't just train
Hmm.
people. Every person that comes in, they're getting taken care of. And then tell me how that, like that specific feature, like how, like, was it helpful? Was that useful to you? Like, cause you went from like paying tens of thousands of dollars in tuition to be in a program to like getting paid. Like,
Yeah. So at first, and I'm sure other people have had that same experience. It seems like, nah, this can't be true. Like, what's the catch, right? It's like, so you're gonna pay me to do this, right? And yeah, it was incredible. So for one, there's a lot of like stress and anxiety while you're going through the program to figure things out. We all have bills, right? Some of us have families that we're taking care of, that we're responsible for. So we have these financial burdens, and we don't really get in the headspace of just let me just focus and go through the curriculum. And I think that's really what it does, right? It gives you the ability to forget about everything else. It's already taken care of. Everything is taken care of. You just come in heads down, go through the curriculum and just focus, study, build, and that's what it did for me. And I was thinking about this morning, how like it takes you a minute to understand that aspect or that model, but it's the oldest model, right? For if you wanted to be blacksmith, right? You would go work with a blacksmith and learn all the tool, tricks of the trade, and then you'd eventually become a blacksmith, right? It's the oldest model. It's just never really been done with, it's just not popular in tech, right? And that's what we're doing here. Continuing to connect with employers to provide these opportunities for folks. But yeah, for me, it just gave me the ability to just be heads down and focus.
Yeah, and it's just really important. Like, I want to stick a pin on that particular issue, which is like, you know, apprenticeships and work-based learning, it deserves to have the same sort of prevalence, and it deserves to be the gold standard, right? Because we're talking about closing the experience gap, right? So you have real world hands-on experience, having that mentorship piece, and then also just like the training, like the actual hands-on, whether it's academic, purely instruction. It's so important in the times where AI is just so novel that we're not even going to have time to build curriculum that's going to be like useful in 6 to 12 months, right? It's just like you've got to be able to learn on the job the skills that are going to move the needle for most companies. And that's like AI, cybersecurity. These are things that you got to do by like putting your hands on it. And like when we think about in our future, knock on wood, in our future, it's like healthcare pathways, right? There, we have an aging population. We need so many more people in the healthcare space. But even when I get time to go back to school for like 4 years, and while they're working two part-time jobs, paying tuition,
Yeah,
like we have to really rethink what it means to like, take on all this debt in order to qualify for these positions. America has to really think differently about like how we skill people. And I'm starting to kind of see more coming out of like Washington, coming out of Sacramento around like, so let's promote apprenticeship. But there's a difference between people saying let's promote apprenticeship and the dollars flowing into our account that allow us to scale apprenticeship, right? That's the part
right.
where it's like, man, we gotta make sure the community knows that this exists, that this is out here, and it's an opportunity. Because from my perspective, I think a lot of people just don't know. They don't know that organizations like ours exist. They don't really understand what apprenticeship is. So
Hmm.
if you've been part of this journey anywhere along the last 6 years, please drop a note, drop a, whether you're a supporter, partner, apprenticeship, drop the word impact in the chat, because I want to kind of like let people know and realize that like this kind of opportunity makes a real change in people's lives. This isn't like we're going to train people, then we're going to pray that they get jobs. This is like we go out and we do the hardest piece, finding the employer
Right.
partners, bringing them to the table, and then having a pathway for people to like not take on a bunch of debt and be able to learn from the very beginning. So, all right, I'm
Yeah.
gonna let
Uh,
you.
oh,
Sorry, go ahead.
I wanted to talk about that a little bit. The benefits for the employer, because we talk about like getting the community more aware of this being a solution. But I think the biggest challenge is like employers not being aware of this being a solution, to solve a lot of their problems, and how it can be truly be a benefit for them, right? So you mentioned lowering the cost, can you talk a little bit about that? Like lowering the cost to hire someone.
Yeah. So again, one of the programs that's been around for a really long time. A lot of workforce boards have done something called Tech Hire. And when I've interacted with Tech Hire, because we've partnered in some ways with Tech Hire in the past, the direct benefit to employer is that they can go to the workforce board and they can say, hey, I want a participant from the Tech Hire program. They generally get 150 hours of the salary covered for that person. They also don't have to onboard the person right away. So they basically get a paid intern for 150 hours. And I took that idea and I was just like, man, what if we could make it not 150 hours, but what if we could make it enough time where the employer could really gauge how much experience this person has and whether they're going to be a good fit. And what I found, and again, you correct me if I'm wrong, but like, was it takes about 6 months for you to really soak in the training as far as like becoming a software engineer. Like at 6 months, you're kind of basically feeling like, I think I can do this. It takes, most boot camps are like 3 months, 4 months, but it really takes 6 months. And then it usually takes another 6 months of hands-on experience before a company can really like, okay, I can envision hiring this person. I can see they got a year of experience under their belt. Like this is a no-brainer. I could bring this person on and I could see our organization growing them to like a mid-level and a senior engineer. And that's kind of where we started. We started with this idea that like tech hour is nice, but it's not long enough. And I was like, what if we just made it longer? And that way, when we go to a company, we can say, like, you're not going to have to worry about the full freight of training a brand new person, recruiting a brand new person. We're going to kind of share in that investment in the person from the very beginning. So it really does lower the cost. Companies are often paying really high recruiting fees. They often feel like they can't upskill early career. So they're just like, well, we can't hire anybody because we don't have a big training and learning department. Like we can't take on the risk of like bringing someone on and then having them not work out. So we kind of reduce a lot of those risks for our businesses that are like, we're not, we're not insert name of big Fortune 500 company. We don't have this big training and learning team. We don't have the resources to do these like big cohorts. But the amazing part about what we've figured out and engineered over the last 6 years is we can do this with companies as small as like 4 or 5 people, and they want to bring one new person in. And I'm usually like, well, why don't you bring 2 part-time people in? That way, when you love them, you already have another person you can just scale up to full time, right? Because I'm just like, we could do one. Like a company can engage with us, they can take one apprentice on, and then they can literally feel the impact it's going to make on their business. And I don't know if Todd's listening. Todd's out there. Todd is
What up, Todd?
yeah, he was the founder of a organization called New Rocket. And Nathan Firth, between Todd Basher and Nathan Firth, when I reached out to him with this crazy idea, I think I'm going to start this apprenticeship program. If I train people for like ServiceNow, because they're a ServiceNow shop, if I train them for ServiceNow, will you guys consider hiring them? And they were like, yeah, we'll take a chance. We like to develop people. We can train people in house. Like we can do that portion. I was like, well, you're not gonna have to do it all. Like you let me know where they need to be for you to be interested. We'll do that portion. We'll get them to the foundations, and then you get them that 60 to 100. We get them the 0 to 60, and like they came to us, hired a couple, came back, and they're like, okay, we're ready for a couple more. And then they came back and they're like, okay, we're ready for a couple more. And it just kept happening where they're just like, they needed time to absorb new folks, right? So there is that like a curve to it, but it was like consistent. And they would consistently come back and be like, hey, these people are like the best people. I'm like, yeah, because they have a job from the very beginning, and their only job is like learn and get better. And I just feel like we have to have so much more of this. Like we've got to be able to figure out how to scale this out across the nation, every community. And I got skin in the game. I got a 16-year-old. So I'm like, what is he going to do? I'm hoping he don't want to go to Harvard. I'm hoping instead he's like, I want to follow, in my dad's footsteps. He says he wants to be an engineer. He's thinking about it right now. And I'm like, okay, well, I want to selfishly, I want to create pathways for people like him that can, like, when they're in high school, start working, maybe a youth apprenticeship. And then when they graduate from high school, they can go right into a job and keep earning credits towards their degree and get their degree while they're on the job and get credit for like everything they're learning when they're working on the job. Because not everybody's going to have like me. Like I'm an uncle to his cousin, and I had him come down, spend the summer at the coding boot camp after when he graduated from high school, go back to his parents' house in LA. And like while he was working his way through community college in the evening, he was working as a software engineer. He got a job as soon as he finished the boot camp. He went back up there at like 18, 19 years old. And he was like out there as a software engineer and then paying cash, finishing his degree through a community college. Like that should be every community. That should be everywhere, right? The fact that like it's just slow. There's just a big bureaucracy around education and workforce. There has to be organizations like us that can be nimble and that can be like, you know what, with the community support, we can make this happen. We can make this happen in every community, rural, urban. This works everywhere. And the funniest thing is like when companies try it and they do it, they're just like, why didn't we do this earlier? Like, why didn't we discover this and figure this out before? And I'm like, I know. Like we've got this mindset in the US that's like blue collar and white collar. And it's like, no, no, no. We have to think like in a new collar mentality. Like we can do this, we can do big things, and we can create opportunities. So this isn't just me and Yashmai on here doing like a little feel good campaign of like, hey, give to us because, you know, it's like this kind of effort keeps the lights on, but it fuels opportunities for people who really deserve a shot. I mean, think about it. In your life, I'm sure there have been people that you knew if they just got a shot, if they just got a chance, they would seize it, and they would, because they thought it was so precious and because they understood, they would work their butts off. They would be the hardest working employees. And like, that's what I love being able to like create rewards for, is just like, okay, if you have a passion for this, then I'll do my darndest to like create a way, a mechanism, a door, a window, like, and like slip you in the back door and sit you down and let you just crush it. Right. And that's what, like, for me, like this past 6 years has been about. It's been about like that actual, like being in the streets. And I just want more runway. I just want more time to be able to do this. And like, I think we're going to get there. We started this week. We started this week at $0 on this campaign. And right now, like, let me check in and see where we're at. I feel like it's been so fun. You know, this idea came from Arlen Hamilton. Huge shout out to
Shout
her.
out
Huge.
Harlem. Yeah.
Arlen has just been like, she is on it. And from the very beginning, she's been like a huge supporter. I'll tell the story about how I met Arlen and like in a little bit, but the fact that since Monday we started this campaign and we've already had more than 130 people, individual donors, commit and like say, I'm in, like, let's go. And the fact that we've been able to raise more than $10,000 in a week. And honestly, I'm not a fundraiser. And so I'm a software engineer that just happens to now like be an educator and like on a mission to, you know, create something special. The fact that we've just like, everybody's gone all in. I'm just so appreciative that folks have seen it, shared it, stepped up to the plate. And I know we can close this gap, and it's going to allow us to just do so much more. It's exciting, like seeing this happen in real time. I'm anxious, but it's exciting. It is.
Yeah, no, very, very exciting. And yeah, shout out Arlen, man, because Arlen, like you said, within minutes, came up with the idea and executed right away. And that's extremely
Yeah.
impressive. But that just just says a lot about like her experience. Because this is her domain, this is what she does. And incredible person. If you guys haven't checked out the offerings from Arling, right? So once you donate, right, you get access to some of her elite courses. I'm telling you, these are fire. All right, so there's 4 courses. The first one is how to make money with AI, getting paid on YouTube from day one, the first impressions package, and then she has another one where she talks about how she won the school games. If you guys are familiar with Alex Hormozy in school, that's a whole nother thing. But you get access to all of that just by donating, right? So, and you could come in. There's people that came in at $1 and got access to all these. These are $1,000 worth of courses, right? And you get access to all of them instantly, right? So definitely come in. If you're familiar with Arlen, if you're familiar with Alex Harmozy, you already know. So just jump in. Just jump in.
And so for those of you that like that have never heard of Arlen Hamilton, you're like, who are we talking Arlen? We're just using a first name basis, right? I met Arlen Hamilton, so it was back in like 2022. So I'm on my way to Afrotech, and I land. It's in Austin, Texas. I check in, and I'm looking around, and I'm like, there are more Black technologists in this room than I've ever seen. Because normally, as I enter rooms, I'm the only one. Like, I'm the only face. Maybe you see another couple sprinkled in the room. You see some women. You see a few Latinos. But like, we are in a sea of pale in comparison to our complexion. And now, I'm like, I'm walking around, I sit down at one of the fireside sessions, and on stage is Arlen Hamilton, who I don't know who this person is at the time, and she's talking to Mark Cuban. And I'm like, okay, I know who Mark Cuban is. And like, if they chose her to do this thing, then she's got to be somebody, right? And so I think she talks about her book up from stage. And so I'm like Googling the book to figure out like how can I get audiobook, what I need to do. And then Mark Cuban says something that at the moment he says it, I know it's going to stick with me. And he says, I bet on Arlen and I put a big investment into her venture capital fund because I knew she could get access to deals that I wouldn't otherwise be able to get access to. And so I was like, okay, all right. Again, this is somebody I need to listen to. So I get her audiobook, and in between the sessions, like when I'm leaving the convention hall, because it's a multiple day conference, I'm like, I put my earbuds in and I'm listening to the audiobook, and I'm getting more and more hype as I'm listening in between the sessions. And I'm like, yes, I mean, the title of the book is It's About Damn Time. And so like, there you go. Right. And so after the conference, I end up going, and I think you joined as well, to her first in-person live event. So we go to LA, we go to her in-person event. There's Gary V, there's Rachel Rogers. I'm like, this woman is pulling in some heavy hitters, right?
Issa Rae. Yeah.
And Sheila, like, I'm like, these are some amazing folks that are in my life because I like went down this rabbit hole of like, who is this person? And so we eventually start working together and working on courses and things like that. And then joined a group, and as of last week, I was just like, oh man, like I think we're gonna have a shortfall. I don't think we're gonna have the cash that we need. And so I just texted her. I'm like, Arlen, this is the situation. What do you suggest? And we literally brainstormed it out Monday evening at like 8 o'clock, launched this bum sale, which I'm also like super excited about, just this idea of doing bum sales. And she's like, this is what I'll do. I'll commit to giving some of my courses out to kind of help in incentivize people to make donations. And it'll be like a double win for them because they're going to get access to all this great content. And it's going to help you, get to your mission, get to your goal. And we'll do it in a really short period of time. And she tells me like her record is like $27,000 raised through using this bump sale. And I'm like, I'm very skeptical at the time, but I set it up. And within a few minutes, it was like, $1, $2, $3, $4. I was seeing the donations coming in, and I was like, oh man, like this could actually work. And now a week in, I'm like, okay, I think we're going to hit this number. Like right now, we have 148 people. We've so far raised $11,000. Folks, you all have been responsible for raising $11,000 in like 4 days, right? Because it's Monday night when we started putting this idea together. So it's just Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and we're at Friday morning and we've raised $11,000. All small dollar donations. Everyone is just like hitting that button. And every time you hit the button, the next person has to donate $1 more if they want to get in and they want to be part of it. So I encourage everyone right now, the link is there. Please go to the website, hit that green button, be part of this movement because it really is going to make a significant impact, right? So I feel like not only could we set a record, but man, the fact that we're doing it with a bump sales, for those of you who've never heard of a bump sale, there's this guy, his name's Rodney. Rodney has this website. It's called bumpsale.co. And for a nonprofit, like sometimes it's really hard to like get behind like all the work effort it takes to create an event or a campaign. It can sometimes feel like it's a distraction from like our core mission, which is like to help people, right? But like Rodney makes it so simple to do a campaign like this. You put in a couple lines of code, you drop it on your website, and then people just hit the button. And like as far as a fundraiser is concerned, it's just amazing to have one of us. So it's a FUBU, right? Rodney is providing this technology that's allowing us to do a fundraiser. We've found him through Arlen, and she's the one that kind of like helped us just brainstorm this and get it going. But man, it's been the community. It's been the response of these individual people. If you go to the website, you can kind of see we've got it broken down, kind of where people got in at. And like our goal is to go from that $1 to a donation of 250. And when we get to that point, I say when we get to that point, we will have raised the $30,000 goal and set a new bar, and now have something that I think could be used to impact and create sort of like this like mental model for other nonprofits to be able to do the same thing. That's to me like that extra sauce on top of everything else, is like, not only are we going to be able to like solve this critical need that we have, but use it as an example to create momentum with other community-based organizations. Because as someone that I had zero experience before I started creating coding careers in the nonprofit space. I had been on a couple boards of like committees and things like that, and I think I might have been on one or two other boards as like, you know, nonprofit director, but I had no idea what I was in for when we started this 6 years ago, because I naively thought I was going to, like, you know, solve this problem. And when I solved this problem, like all the dollars would just flow in and everybody be excited about it. Everybody would join. I'm like, that's not how this works at all. It really does take the consistent effort to always be talking about what you're doing. And some folks are better at talking about what they're doing than I am in our organization. But thanks to Hannah, we're getting better. And we're doing, I think, a better job of like helping people understand like just what it is that we do, right? Like a lot of folks, even when I say we do apprenticeship work, they're like, oh, that's cool. You do internships. And I was like, I didn't even use that word. Like it's super different. And so drop a comment in the chat. Like, I'm curious if you're listening to this and you're hearing me say the word apprenticeship. If when I say the word apprenticeship, if it means the same thing in your mind to internship, drop a yes, like yes or same, because I think there's just so many people in America that don't really understand how vastly different this is. And I'll break it down really quickly. The first difference is every apprenticeship is always a job, paid. So you don't have to say paid apprenticeship because every apprenticeship is paid. Like folks are getting paid even before they have the skill. They get an apprenticeship, they're getting paid. It always has two other elements. It always has mentorship. So there's always someone that's skilled that's going to be able to like be looking over your shoulder, giving you support. And then the third piece, the last piece is, I think I'm frozen. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, but you're
All
you're
right.
just still. Yeah, Mike could be back in a second, but no, you know, to this point, a lot of what we do is really just educating folks on the differences between internships and apprenticeships. To Mike's point, you don't have to say paid apprenticeships because an apprenticeship is a job, it's paid, right? All right, jump back in.
Yeah. I don't think you guys can see me again yet, but like, so I talked about the first element. I talked about the element of, okay, these are their jobs.
Mhm.
There's mentorship, right? That's baked into this is in the DNA. And then there's always that like educational component, instruction, right? And so those are going to be the cornerstones. Now, sometimes an internship has some of those elements, but it's not a guarantee. It's always a guarantee with apprenticeship that has all of those elements. So let me see if I can fix my camera. Can you talk a little bit
Cool.
about like a day in the life? Like, what is it like for our apprentices that are like going through this? Let me see if I can fix.
Absolutely. Absolutely, absolutely. Before I jump into a day in the life, I definitely want to talk about because you know Mike shouted out Hannah. You know, like he said, some people are better at doing the talking. You know, I feel like we're good at the doing, right? We're good at what we do, and none of it would be possible without the team. Um, so I want to take a second to um, shout out our amazing team. So Alex has been holding it down. Um, Alex is the lead instructor. He's the instructor manager. Everybody loves Alex because Alex is very passionate about what he does. He's always putting in the work. You can always call him. You know, if you get stuck or blocked or anything. Memo has been holding it down as well. This guy can solve anything. I'm always going to him with my problems, and yeah, he's a super solid guy. Kevin just came on board, another amazing instructor, and very knowledgeable in the ServiceNow space. Then we have Hannah and Blessing, who've been holding it down with our social media. So that was one of the things that I feel like, we would always either start or stop and really try to figure it out. But when Hannah and Blessing took that over, we've had such a huge improvement just in our digital presence. So thank you, Hannah. Thank you, Blessing. Joyce took over our mentorship program and has been scaling that up every week. It's like we have new mentors coming on board, and it's incredible because that adds that layer that Mike talked about, right? For me, when I was an apprentice, I had three amazing mentors. I'm gonna drop their names. So I had Todd from New Rockets. So a lot of you guys know Todd. Um, Me and Todd, we would never talk about nothing technical. We just went into like life and goals and just everything. It just gave me the energy I needed for the week. So I loved my conversations with Todd. Had Adam. He was over at BD. Adam would give me the best advice with um, next steps, things that I needed to do to get ready for the next stage in life. For my career, right? We always talked about like, building your resume and really advancing in your career. So those are the types of conversations that I had with Adam. And then I had Rich, and another amazing mentor of mine. So I got to shout him out. So it's been incredible, right? So Joyce is doing the same thing for our apprentices, bringing in these incredible mentors. Um, and then Sharon came on board. She was a board member, came on board, and really focused on the organization, getting that together, and it's been incredible since she came on board. And then got to shout out Wa. Wa is for our SkillBridge participants, when you do the interview and you interview with us, you probably met with Wa. Wa took a lot of the things that I was doing off my plate, and it's been just been instrumental in me being able to kind of shift into the business development side of things now. So thank you, Wa. Thank you to everyone on the team. Thank you for all holding it down. Um, but yeah, we talked about we said we're going to get into a day in the life. So a day in the life for a SkillBridge participant or for an apprentice when you come on board. So we start our days with stand up. So just like any engineering shop, you talk about what you worked on yesterday, what you're working on today, if you have any blockers, right? And if you have any blockers, you'll get that worked out with one of your instructors or managers. We jump into a code challenge. So we do a daily code challenge. So the code challenges, they're open to everyone. So it's not just our apprentices, right? So if that sounds interesting to you, jump in, right? Get connected in our community. I'm gonna ask Hannah or Alex if you guys can drop the link to our community in the chat. Um, get connected. It's free. It's open to everyone. So just jump in. We do daily code challenges. Um, go over best practices, all that. And then all of our curriculum is project based. So our apprentices, they're actually building websites, web apps, right? They're actually building things out. And as they get blocked or stuck, they have access to um, all of these great instructors that I named, to sync up one-on-one to work through their problems. So that's kind of what it looks like, right? So it's, we do our group, code, daily code challenges, and then you jump into the curriculum right after that. And yeah, just building. So it's incredible. Mike, I think you're back. How you doing?
I think I'm doing amazing at this point. Um, Experiencing, of course, like the technical difficulties, which is, I figured it out. I've detected what it is. The little, whenever I do one of those gestures, the camera just goes crazy. If it's like a wave or it's like trying to keep my hands down low. But we just hit a major milestone. If you go right now to donate and make a donation, we are over the $150 mark, which is huge, right? So you'll see the kind of the tiers and the breakdown of whatnot. If you right now go to our website, we're asking for a donation of $150 and we're on our way. We want to eventually get it bumped all the way up to 250. That'll get us to that $30,000 goal. And as we mentioned, again, just to reset the room, Arlen is right now giving away thousands of dollars worth of additional courses as like a premium, as a bonus to support this. And every one of these donations makes such a significant impact because there's this like force multiplier in that the funds that we get in terms of like working capital and cash now gets doubled because we have grants that they're reimbursable grants. So like we have to spend the money first. Once we spend the money, then we get reimbursed. Well, to spend the money, you gotta have it, right? And that's my constant like, okay, ebb and flow of like, okay, I gotta sort of like balance all of these competing interests for my time. And it's just been amazing to see that in a week, the community stepped up and gave us the capacity for like every one of these donations. We'll be able to get 5x this donation in like matching funds from the federal government. So as we get through this period and we start getting more and more big grants, because the government is really putting a lot of effort behind apprenticeships right now. We're a very good candidate. We're a likely candidate for like millions of dollars of funding that's going to come through towards the end of this year and into next year. We are going to still need to have the support of the community to have enough working capital to keep scaling, to keep growing. Anybody that's run a business understands like that's what you want to do. You want to constantly have revenue coming in so that you can scale and you can grow. And as our nonprofit grows, we help more people and we put more people into jobs. The vast majority of the funding goes directly into the pockets of participants, covering their wages. That's our by far our largest expense, is covering the wages for each apprentice or for instructors, like the hard costs of keeping people employed and in this business. And so again, I'm just so appreciative. We passed a huge milestone getting to 150. This is my first time with Bum Sale, but Arlen has kind of walked me through like as we hit these different tiers, these tiers are signals of like, okay, here's what's more to come as we get through. My hope is today. I'm hoping we can hit 250 today. I believe it can happen today. If not, I'll have to talk about extending it. If not, I'm gonna be on this LinkedIn live and we're gonna figure it out together because it's too important, right? Like this work, the ability for us to help people and make this the norm, make it a standard that like every community has a pathway for people to get paid and learn and earn their way onto a permanent full-time role, whether it's a medical assistant, whether it's someone that wants to become a teacher in a classroom. We need to make it super accessible for people to have a low cost, low friction, no barrier way for them to upskill and like transition into a permanent, like high wage, high growth career. And that's what we're talking about when we talk about apprenticeships, right? We're talking about these are all, I don't like using the word living wage because I feel like we are at least at a living wage. So here in California, I think we start apprentices at something like, I don't want to put the number out there and be wrong, but I feel like it's in the mid 20s. And then they start stair stepping up. And by the time they get offers, we have folks that get offers that are like 6-figure offers. To finish an apprenticeship program and they get a 6-figure offer. They were already getting, 24, 25 bucks an hour. And then they land a role where they're making 6 figures in that first year. Now, not everybody, some of the roles they just don't pay 6 figures, but they pay way more than the average, retail, fast food, those kinds of jobs that are really within that earning capacity of somebody that's like early on in their career or early in tech in their career. So from my perspective, I'm just so proud of the work that everybody's done to get us to the stage, and the fact that like as we survive and thrive, we create so many more opportunities, and there's this flywheel effect of like, okay, now these people have the capacity to like, they can help us support, they can be, you know, a messenger, they can join our board. We've had 3 of our past participants be doing so well and be like in a position where like they can step up and like take on board responsibilities. That's huge. That's like these full circle moments. It's insane to me. I just still can't believe it. So um yeah, we're getting close to the top of the hour. I want to make sure that we make sure we're giving kudos to everybody that's so far, you know, joined, and encourage people to just share this message. And together we can do this. I mean, imagine a world where opportunity isn't just decided by those that can afford to get a degree, but really by like people's passion, their skill. And that's what we're building. That's what this campaign, that's how we got here, and that's what we'll build moving forward.
Awesome.
All right.
If you are an employer and you are interested in learning about how ScaleBridge can benefit your business, please reach out. You can DM me or Mike on LinkedIn, or shoot us an email. You know, we're always trying to connect with more employers to provide these opportunities for our participants.
All right, and I got some testimonials on deck here, so I'm gonna play some testimonials. So again, you can hear it directly from folks that we've made an impact over the last few years, and then I'll be back, close us out.
Looking back, what were some of the pivotal moments or milestones during your apprenticeship?
I would say the biggest milestone was getting into the apprenticeship. That was probably one of like the happiest days of my life, just because at that point, I didn't have a job. I didn't really know what my future was looking like. I had gone through the coding boot camp, but I don't feel like that was enough to get me to like get the door open for me. And so, like at that point in life, I was kind of just very lost. And then once I got into the apprenticeship, that kind of helped settle things down and gave me a real path to where I wanted to go.
How has the apprenticeship helped you shape your long-term goals?
I feel that from the apprenticeship, I was able to learn what aspects of a tech role I wanted to incorporate into my career. So I know that I wanted to continue doing something in a more technical capacity. So, working with data. But I also learned that, I wanted to work as a project manager. So, I've merged those two together, and now I'm working as a data project manager.
How did your perception of the tech industry change through your transition into tech?
My perception of the tech industry changed when the second month I got in CCC, when I was still doing the pre-apprenticeship program. I started doing research on how the statistics on how many people have a degree in tech versus how many people don't have a degree. And that right there kind of eased me, because I was like, I'm not trying to be a follower, but hence if I don't have a degree, it seems like I am able to get a tech job if I work my butt off to get it. So.
Did you feel a sense of community where you can rely on your instructors and peers?
That was honestly the biggest part of the apprenticeship that I liked the most, was the community. I mean, every morning we had a group meeting, we had a code challenge that we did collaboratively. And then after that, we all stayed in contact throughout the day or throughout the weeks, just to keep updates on our tasks or, what project we're working on now. And I think that really kept me engaged.
What were some of the key skills or knowledge areas you acquired during the boot camp?
I think the thing that I really kind of hold is the ability to learn. I think that is the key thing in this industry, because languages, frameworks, they become out of date very fast, but that ability to keep learning is really important in this field, because you will be faced with situations where you don't know what that is, and you have to figure it out in a day or two. So I think that's the biggest thing. React obviously helped me get my career in JavaScript especially, but I think that ability to learn is my key factor from all of
In
this.
retrospect, what would you have done differently during your transition or in the apprenticeship?
If I can go back, I would spend more time networking. I feel like that played a huge role in this tech community. It's not what you know, but who you know.
All right, I'm going to land the plane. If you're watching this and the video is already over, jump on, like, help us out, pitch in. Every little bit helps. And from my perspective, 6 years in, I'm just like so grateful for everybody that's like been part of this mission. If you're not able to make a donation, please share it, like it, spread it out to your network. Ask somebody that doesn't know about this to like just get involved and just like make sure that we can continue to provide this for another 6 years. Like that's what gets me gassed up about this, is like I know we're so close to just being able to like create all these additional stories that are just life-changing journeys. And it all begins with folks that are listening to this taking that step of like jumping in, sharing it, liking it, and letting us like spread the word that it's entirely possible for us to create a completely different way that we think about education and we think about empowering people to have meaningful careers across a variety of high wage, high growth industries. Not just that, we might have to rebrand because we're starting to move into some other pathways that I think are going to really open it up for so many more people. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate everyone that's giving to this campaign, all the work that Arlen and her team has done, my team at CCC, and you folks that are really making it happen and making a difference in so many people's lives. Thank you.